Welcome to Maths with Paru. In this video, I shall be discussing some questions from this textbook, Pure Mathematics 2. And it will be on the chapter 8 on integration. And the questions will be taken from exercise 8C. Let's begin. Exercise 8C, question 1A. The question is to sketch the following and find the area of the finite region between the given expression and the x-axis. Now let's begin with the function that we're given, y is equal to x into x plus 2. If we expand it, we will get x squared plus 2x. Now the first thing I shall be doing is to sketch the graph. Here I use the usual rules that we use to sketch quadratic graphs. To begin with, the number in front of x squared is 1. So when a is 1 and it means it's a positive value, the shape of the graph is going to be a U-shaped graph. It will be like this. Now, the next steps that we're going to follow is when x is equal to 0, y is going to be equal to 0. And when y is equal to 0, we simply equate the function, that is x into x plus 2, to 0. And if we solve, we get x equals 0 and x is equal to minus 2. So now we're ready to sketch the graph, which is x is equal to 0 and x is equal to minus 2 when y is 0, and we have x is equal to 0, 0, and it's a U-shaped graph. So it's going to look something like this. Our next step would be to find the total area. From the theory that we have learned, we simply have to integrate the curve with x values from minus 2 to 0. So that's exactly what we do. Now, if we integrate x squared, we get x cubed over 3. If we integrate 2x, we get x squared. And the limits are from minus 2 to 0. So next, we simply substitute the value of x equals 0, and we will get 0. And then we substitute the value of x equals minus 2, which gives us minus 8 over 3 plus 4. When we simplify it all, we end up with 4 over 3. I hope you understood this question. It will be exercise 8C, question 1B. Here we go. Sketch the following and find the total area of the finite region bounded by the curve and the x-axis. Now, let's begin by trying to draw or sketch the given equation. Y is equal to x plus 1 into x minus 4. We use the usual rules for quadratic graphs. Here, we find that we have 1x squared. So 1x squared means that a is equal to 1, which is positive. And if a is positive, our curve is going to be a U-shaped graph. So here we go. We have a U-shaped graph. And what are the other bits of information that we need to sketch the graph? When x is equal to 0, we find that y is equal to minus 4. And when y is equal to 0, we have x is equal to minus 1 as well as x is equal to 4. Now we're ready to sketch our graph. So here we go. We have a graph with x equals 0, y equals minus 4, y equals 0, x equals minus 1 and 4. And we'll go ahead and sketch the graph. Our next step would be to find the area. The way we do this using our theory is that we integrate the given curve from minus 1 to 4. So here we go. We're integrating the given curve. Now, when we integrate the given curve, we expand the brackets. So when we expand the brackets, we end up with x squared minus 3x minus 4. So that's what we end up integrating. Now, when we integrate x squared, we get x cubed over 3. If we integrate minus 3x, we get minus 3x squared over 2. If we integrate minus 4, we get minus 4x. And the limits are from 4 to minus 1. Our next step would be to evaluate this expression that we have. First, we substitute x is equal to 4. So 4 cubed is 64 divided by 3. Then we substitute x equals 4 in minus 3x squared. So we get minus 3 into 4 squared, which is equal to minus 3 into 16 divided by 2, which gives us minus 24. And then we have minus 4 into 4, which is minus 16. Next, we subtract the expression when we substitute x equals minus 1. Minus 1 cubed over 3 will give us minus 1 over 3. Then we have minus 3 into minus 1 squared, which is minus 3 over 2. And then we have minus 4 into minus 1, which is just plus 4. When we evaluate that, we end up with the final answer of 20 and 5 over 6. I hope you understood this question. Question 1C. Here we go. We want to sketch the following cubic graph. Y is equal to x plus 3 into x minus 3, and find the area between the graph and the x-axis. Let's begin. First, we would be interested in sketching the cubic graph. Now, how would we do that? We follow the usual rules for sketching cubic graphs. If we multiply all the x's, we end up with x cubed. Now, x cubed means that a is equal to 1. When a is equal to 1, which is positive, that is the coefficient of x cubed, we can draw the graph having first a minimum, a maximum, and then a minimum. Our next step would be, when x is equal to 0, what is y? So when x is equal to 0, we find that y is equal to 0. And the next step that we follow would be, when y is equal to 0, what is x? We find that x is equal to minus 3, 0, and 3. Now we're ready to sketch the graph. So here we go. A cubic graph, x equals 0, y is equal to 0, minus 3, and plus 3. And we end up with this sketch. Now what we do is we want to find the area. For that we use integration theory, which means integrating this expression with limits from 0. We have two sets of limits we'll find. So one set of limit would be from minus 3 to 0, and the other set would be from 0 to 3. Now, in integration theory, in terms of areas, if there is any area that's below the x-axis, it's a negative area. So we would like to sketch these two graphs and consider them separately so that we won't make a mistake in terms of the signs. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the integration from 0 to 3 of the graph, as well as from minus 3 to 0. If you look at that, this is what we will get in the end. We have the integration of, when we expand it, we end up with x cubed minus 9x. So when we integrate x cubed, we get x to the power 4 over 4. When we integrate minus 9x, we get minus 9x squared over 2. So we have two integrations. One is going to be from minus 3 to 3, and the other is going to be from 0 to 3. When we do them individually, we will get minus 81 over 4 for one of them, and plus 81 over 4 for the other. But in terms of areas, we always consider the positive value. So the total area of this graph and the x-axis will be 81 over 4 plus 81 over 4, which is 81 over 2. and that's 40.5. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you were able to understand my explanation. That's all for now. Until my next video.